John Barratt, my friend from CBS, Commodity Broking Services, on the line from NSW today. John, with the run we've seen in platinum, 1 year, 60 plus percent, you still think there's room to move north?
Bernie, it's been a good trade. When you compare platinum to way gold is actually trading, it has been the standout. We still feel it is a standout. However, obviously we're seeing just a slight correction in the precious metals across the board. But really we only see that as an area where we can find a good base from which to buy again.
Right. What is the overwhelming #1 cheerleading rally for going long in platinum right now? If you had to boil it down to the one overwhelming factor which convinces you, what is it?
I think it really is that sudden demand from ETFs. ETFs, we've had two which have obviously gone very successfully in the States, not only just for platinum but also for palladium, where we've been taken close to 100,000 ounces off the table. Now, in a market that really has pretty tight supply-demand dynamics, that certainly helped our cause for platinum to continue to trade higher.
Okay, now I mentioned that the world is moving more toward plug-in electrics, especially in the next year or two, and hybrids. Doesn't that take some of the catalytic converter demand off the plate a little bit?
Look, I think it does, but not that much. I mean, I think one of the big things on the agenda, obviously, is with fuel efficiencies, clean fuels, and all that. And I think if you find that there is still demand in emerging economies, there is still significant demand there for cars. So the way I look at it, the platinum and the palladium markets still look quite rosy, particularly when we can finally get into some good economic numbers in terms of recovery.
Right. You talk about the explosion or the proliferation of the exchange-traded funds that are parked in platinum. With a lot of talk about separation, like Obama was talking about, of alternative investment and prop desk trading at the big banks and that sort of thing. Does that filter over into the precious metal space at all, or is it mutually exclusive, John?
No, I think it certainly does. It is a concern, primarily because with the ETF, the uptake of that ETF was primarily from the institutions. The mums and dads haven't quite got their head around it yet with the take-up coming from those instos. So if there is a sleight of hand in terms of who can actually be involved in these markets and to what extent, I think it might sort of put a little bit of a hammer in terms of how far some of these markets can go, and or perhaps just reduce the volatility. The reducing volatility, I think, is not a bad thing, but I think that's what could occur if Obama gets what he needs to through.
Thanks, John. I tend to think my wife is probably responsible for the run-up in platinum with her insatiable demand for settings for diamonds. Oops, diamond demand as well. John Barratt, CBS, joining us from Sydney, Australia.